Guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul does over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Wow. 1 million pay-per-view buys. Over 1 million. Crazy numbers. Crazy numbers. We're talking about one of the greatest fighters of all time fighting a YouTuber. And this fight does crazy numbers. Now, are we surprised? No, not really, because Logan Paul has, what, 20 million followers on Instagram, and Floyd Mayweather's Floyd Mayweather. He already does crazy numbers, and his numbers were the best we've seen probably ever in boxing. Or there's never been a fighter that's done the numbers like Mayweather. He's done crazy numbers. The money he's generated. So, you know, Mayweather generates a lot of money anyway, and then putting him together with a guy that's huge in the social media world, you're going to create a huge event. And that's what basically happened, and that's why we got the numbers we got. You know, apparently it's generated well over 1 million pay-per-view buys, which is, like I said, crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. This was $50, $50 in America. $50, and people still bought it. And people say pay-per-view is dead. Well, pay-per-view is not dead. If people are willing to spend that kind of money for a fight like Mayweather and Logan Paul, then it shows pay-per-view is not dead. It just means that there's not enough American stars that are able to do these type of numbers. Because if they were big pay-per-view stars, then we'd be seeing bigger numbers. But unfortunately, in America, there isn't big stars. There aren't guys that are able to draw these type of numbers. And Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul showed crazy numbers, man. Crazy numbers. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And a lot of people say, well, they're not boxing fans. Well, believe you me, majority of the big pay-per-view fights, the ones that do huge, crazy pay-per-view numbers, aren't all hardcore boxing fans. The hardcore boxing community is a very small community. If that is the only people that buy boxing fights, then there'll never be good pay-per-view numbers. Because like I said, the hardcore boxing community is a very small community. How many hardcore boxing fans are there? 200,000, 300,000, 400,000? But how many casuals are there that not huge boxing fans, but they'll watch it if it's a big fight? They'll watch it if it's an Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury. They'll watch it if it's a Manny Pacquiao v Floyd Mayweather. But they're not the kind of fans to watch every fight. Like me, I'm a hardcore. I watch every fight, whether it's Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, whether it's Taylor Ramirez. It doesn't bother me, because I'm a boxing fan. The problem is that, and the reason why events like Logan Paul and Mayweather are still going to happen, because people see opportunity to make money. And unfortunately, a lot of broadcasters are having to do this. I'll tell you why. Because a lot of the so-called proper fighters, you know, the guys that are the big names and the guys that are the real top fighters, there aren't many cash cows. Who is there in boxing right now? Canelo, Joshua, Fury. How many are there? There's a couple of guys. There's not many guys. And a lot of the other big fights, like, you may think Spence Crawford's a big fight. Yes, it's a big fight in terms of to the hardcore boxing fans, but to the casuals, if I go here in the street in the UK, right, and speak about Spence Crawford, nobody knows who those guys are. But when Mayweather Pacquiao was happening, everybody in England was watching that fight. Everybody. Because everybody knows those two names. They're iconic names. Unfortunately, Spence and Crawford don't have that appeal. So although to the hardcore fans, we'll all be up watching that fight, unfortunately to the casuals, that's not a big fight. You know, you ain't gonna see casuals staying up to watch Spence v Crawford, because they're not household names. But yet when Mike Tyson fights Roy Jones, it does 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. Because Mike Tyson is, like I said, is a superstar. He's iconic around the world. Mike Tyson's not just known in the UK or known in America. This is a guy that's known in Asia, known everywhere around the world. No matter where Mike Tyson goes in the world, he's a superstar. You can't say the same for Spence Crawford, or even Wilder for that matter, who's a heavyweight, American heavyweight, former world champion. And this is the problem, that there's not many stars. That's why guys like Floyd Mayweather still have opportunities. If there were big stars, if there was guys doing crazy numbers and broadcasters were happy with the numbers some of these guys are doing, then events like Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul wouldn't happen, because there'd be other fighters that would have substituted someone like Mayweather. And they'd be doing crazy numbers, and there would be no need for Mayweather to fight this. But the thing is, people are so still intrigued with the, oh God, like Mike Tyson did crazy numbers, Floyd Mayweather's done crazy numbers. It's because people are still interested with the, oh God. So some of the new guys that are coming through, they're just not able, they're not able to cross over. They're not becoming huge superstars. And that's the problem in boxing, that some of these young guys coming through are not huge pay-per-view stars, and the broadcasters are not making the kind of money that they need to be making. So they're having to recycle fights like a Mayweather or Logan Paul, or because they know Mayweather's a huge attraction, they know Logan Paul's got a huge fan base, and they know that event's going to be massive. And they were right, they're all making a profit on it. But like Charlo Andrade, which is a great fight, it's not that lucrative, it's not that big. So although a lot of the fans want to see that fight, it's not a big fight because it only appeals to the hardcores. It doesn't appeal to the casuals. And this is why fights, even though a lot of old school boxing fans don't like Floyd Mayweather v Logan Paul, but the fact of the matter is it does numbers. It does numbers, it generates a lot of money. So you can't really blame the broadcasters putting it on, because as they say, if it makes money, it makes sense. And this definitely makes money. So to be honest with you, Floyd Mayweather, he's made what, I don't know, they were saying 100 million for this fight. You know, Logan Paul made what, $18 million? So like, at the end of the day, look at it, they both made huge money out of it. They both, you know, made an absolute fortune from this fight. So like I said, I feel like you're always going to get certain people that don't like it. You're going to get certain people that like it. I like I said, I'm a hardcore boxing fan. Yeah, I'll watch all fights, buy all fights. Because to me, seeing Floyd Mayweather fight even a YouTuber, like, it should have been more entertaining. It wasn't a great fight, let's be honest. It was quite a terrible watch. It was quite, let's be real about it. It wasn't the most exciting fight. I think the undercard Arias Hurd fight was great. But Mayweather, Logan Paul, listen, what were you expecting though? What were we expecting? It was what it was, but it was just the intrigue of seeing Mayweather fight again, you know? So yeah. Listen, I personally think that, I don't know whether Floyd's going to do it again. Maybe if he sees an opportunity, he may do it again. Maybe he may do the rematch with Logan Paul. Who knows? I don't know. Because maybe he wasn't impressed with his performance. Maybe he would want to stop him in the next exhibition. Or maybe they'll do an actual fight next time. Who knows? With judges, etc. Who knows? But yeah, 1.2 million pay-per-view buys. It's crazy. It's crazy. A lot of people think that's where boxing's heading. I think you're going to see a lot of these type of shows maybe in the future. A lot of hardcore boxing fans are not happy with that, because they think it's ruining boxing with all this YouTuber boxing stuff. I think we've got to evolve with times. Listen, there's always going to be your hardcore fights. There's always going to be your fights where, you know, the hardcore fights, like your Taylor Ramirez, you know, like your Lopez Taylor. Those fights are always going to exist. But you may have to get used to these YouTubers fighting each other as well, because let's be honest, you can't ignore, and broadcasters can't ignore the numbers these guys do. You can't ignore it. As a broadcaster, you just cannot ignore it. How can you ignore the fact that Logan Paul can do over 1 million, or Jake Paul can do nearly 1 million pay-per-view buys? You can't ignore that. You can't. Jake Paul v Ben Askren did apparently 650,000 pay-per-view buys. Think about that. That's a lot. And really, it wasn't even a big event. It wasn't even a big fight. But these guys have such a big following, such a big audience, and a loyal fan base. Like, there's one thing of having a following. There's many people on social media that have a huge following. But how loyal is that following? When I mean loyal, I mean, are they going to buy tickets? Are they going to buy pay-per-views? See, Eddie Hearn pointed something out, that the ticket, that there was hardly anyone there in the stadium. It looked like it was empty. Because although the pay-per-view numbers did great, a lot of these fans, they want to see content in a different way. So they don't want to go to the venue and see the fight. They want to see the fight on their phones, you know, or their TVs. They don't want to watch it at home. They want to watch it on their mobile phone. So the way they consume content is not actually going to the fight. They want to watch it on their phones. They want to buy the fight on their phones and watch it that way, which is fair enough. But this is what I'm trying to say. This is why the numbers weren't that huge. But when Mayweather fought McGregor, there was a huge audience. But that was because that was a fighter, and, you know, he has a country that they like to travel and like to back their fighter. Whereas YouTuber fans back their fighter, you know, through watching maybe on TV, watching their videos, viewing their videos. Do you understand? Because that's how they used to, because that's how these guys have got popular. It's like, you guys watch my videos through consuming my content on mobile, but now if I wanted to do an event outside, maybe no one would turn up. Do you see what I mean? So this is the thing. Your viewers, or the Logan Paul and the YouTubers' viewers, have got used to consuming their content on a mobile phone or a laptop. You know, they're not used to going to an event of Logan Paul's. Not to say that I'm pretty sure he had a lot of fans that went to support him. But these guys have a huge fan base that can't be ignored, man. It can't be ignored. When people are doing crazy numbers and they're making a lot of money, that can't be ignored. Or generating a lot of money, that can't be ignored by broadcasters. It can't be. And I think the pay-per-view numbers of over 1 million pay-per-view just show you how big this fight was, you know? Let's be honest, and I know it might sound crazy, but it was way bigger than what Taylor Ramirez was, and that was an undisputed fight, way bigger. More people were talking about this. It was trending on Twitter and everything. Trending on social media. Why? Because both those guys are huge, huge stars. Crazy amount of numbers on social media. A lot of people know who they are. So you're going to make for a huge event. Whereas Taylor Ramirez, although it's a great fight, it's a great trade fight. It's a fight for the hardcore boxing fans. It's not a fight for the casuals. And that's what people have to understand. Times are evolving in boxing. I feel like this is going to be more of the norm moving forward. But I think the hardcore boxing will still be there. I just think things like this will occur more often, and there'll be a lot more. But again, you don't have to watch it. I know there's certain people that don't watch it. They feel like, I'm just not watching it. It's not for me. Fair enough. You don't have to watch it, but I don't mind it. I think it brings attention. I think, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Some people think it brings negative attention. I don't have a problem with it. I watch it anyway. I'll watch it regardless. So that's just my take. What do you guys make of it? Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul does over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Do you think Floyd Mayweather will fight again? Do you think he'll do another exhibition, or do you think that's it and he's done? Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.